Okay, we're continuing here, part 3, looking at Prima Secundae, question 3, article 8. Um, so this is St. Thomas's understanding of what human happiness is and what its end is. And we should read through this. Man is not perfectly happy as long as something remains for him to desire. And the perfection of any power is determined by the nature of the object. Okay, so the object of the intellect, which is our highest power, is what something is, the essence. Quod quid est, what a thing is. Totie and anai in the Greek, what it was to be. Strange translation, but that's the literal of Aristotle's understanding of essence. So the intellect is perfected by its knowledge of essence. It's going to be perfected by the knowledge of that which is the cause of things. That's what we want to know. Our intellect wants to know causes, and we want to know the main cause of something. We desire to know through inquiry, and our inquiry culminates not in the knowledge of mere material causes or causes of motion or causes of quantity, but causes of being. And the ultimate cause of being is not merely actuality, potentiality, substance, accident. Those are approximate causes of the being of things, but God himself, who is not only the efficient cause of the world, but the formal, final, material, in some sense, creative, creatio ex nihilo. We want to know God not as a deistic God who just externally relates to the world, creates it, and doesn't sustain it because it has its own self-sufficiency. God is behind the being of every being at every moment, and that's what we want to know. Okay. Now, it's not simply knowledge of the first cause as principle of the effect's creation. We want to know the cause in itself. We want to reach the very essence of the first cause. And of course, that knowledge of that essence can only come to us through God's self-communication of himself through revelation. So we have a natural desire for God, which our nature and all the objects of nature cannot satisfy. And here we have the paradox that we have a natural desire for a supernatural knowledge, a supernatural object. We have a natural desire for an end that nature itself cannot provide us with, where grace comes in. Okay. And question 5, now we know what happiness is. It's a vision of the divine essence. We have to talk about attaining it, whether man can attain happiness. Look at objection 2. True happiness consists in seeing God, who is pure truth, but from his very nature, man considers truth in material things. So he cannot know God, because God is immaterial. Now, of course, we know from prior readings and from Aristotle, even Plato, that we can know God indirectly, at least according to Aristotle, through metaphysical speculation. But that knowledge is not going to satisfy us, of course. Okay. So, we know that man is capable of the perfect good because, St. Thomas says, his intellect can apprehend the universal and the perfect good, and his will can desire it, because the will is only a rational appetite for the universal good. We have to determine the will in particular goods, because we don't have access to the universal good directly in this world, but the will wants, in a sense, as its end, the universal good. And of course, nothing in this world can satisfy it, including the highest universal metaphysical speculative knowledge of God. So we know that man can attain happiness because his intellect is capable of it. This is where we get into the idea of the obediential potency. In other words, our nature, of course, doesn't have within its own power to attain happiness because it's meant to know God as He is in Himself, and our natures can't know that through concepts, right? Well, we're going to be transformed, as we know, in the afterlife to be able to receive God's essence, in a sense, without a concept, bypassing concept. God's essence is somehow going to be in union with us. And we're going to be in union with God without the mediation of a mere concept, which cannot possibly contain God. Well, what is that transformation? Is it destroying our nature and remaking it into something supernatural? Is it merely adding some power to what's already there? And this debate is big too, and the question, the Lubac Stephen Long question is, what is the nature of this obediential power? And on the one hand, if we say that we're simply receptive of some miraculous transformation, the way Balaam's ass in the Old Testament was able to speak, that would then make our nature sort of having nothing to do with what we get in the afterlife. There's too much difference there, and that would make our nature not even teleologically ordered to this transformation. On the other hand, if we say that our nature has within it this capacity to be transformed, then you might give short shrift to the incredible, and amazing, supernaturalness of this elevation. Okay, so the balance is the difficulty here. Okay, well, I think we'll finish off our discussion in the next section with question 5, articles 5 and 8. So stay tuned.